Hello everyone, and welcome to my presentation. My name is Matt Magoon. Thanks for joining me. Over the next little while here, I'm going to be going over some key points on how to create lasting memories with your clients and with your stakeholders through your presentations. So, to get us started, let me first ask a question. Does anyone know how long the human short-term memory lasts for? I'll give you a second to think about that. How long is the human short-term memory? Well, if you guessed at about 30 seconds, you'd be correct. Sometimes it's a little more, sometimes it's a little bit less. Now, can anyone think why would that be an important point when considering how to create lasting memories? Well, the theory is that if you can keep a central idea, a main message, revolving around someone's mind for more than 30 seconds, if they can keep thinking about it and if they can remain entertained and remain intrigued, then you can turn that short-term memory into a lasting long-term memory. But hold on, I did mention that they do need to be entertained and they do need to be intrigued. And that's what it takes for a person to keep thinking about a short-term memory long enough to turn it into one of those longer lasting memories. And that is exactly what I'm here to talk to you about today. And that's creating lasting memories by using some basic guidelines for communicating your messages and keeping those messages revolving around your listener's head, as well as the use of multimedia to entertain and to keep the attention of your audience long enough to turn that short-term memory into a long-term memory. So, now, over the next little while here, we're going to be going over several things. First of all, we're going to be going over the rule of three, a crucial stick-to rule that you will learn about very soon here. Then we're going to be going over message maps, a very important tool for the presenter. And then after that, we're going to be going over quite possibly the most important topic of this presentation, and that is multimedia. Then, lastly, we're going to be going over 3 guidelines or stick-to principles for your presentations, all right? So let me start off here with the rule of 3. What is the rule of 3? Well, the rule of 3 basically states that people remember things better, people adhere to things better, people like things better when they're associated in groups of 3. Now, why is this? Well, there's a lot of different reasons, but summarily, it's because they're more funny. It's because it's more informative. The concept can kind of grow on you a bit. Repetition is funny sometimes, and when you repeat things again, you get more information than if you just heard it once. You know, you get more the second time than you did the last time or the previous time. And now repetition also, it creates engagement, and it allows people to think about things from a different perspective. It allows people to compare and to contrast things. And then they think about it again as well when it's coming the second and when it's coming the third time. They kind of recycle that information. Your message is recycled, and it keeps circulating around their mind. And that's what you need to do, is you need to keep them thinking about it and keep them thinking about it again and then again, so you can outlast that 30-second short-term memory interval, so then that message has a chance of becoming, instead of a short-term message, it becomes a long-term message. And then the rule of 3 also, it touches on a lot of deeper human things, but honestly, when you do things in threes, you have a greater variety. You connect with more people. You connect more messages to more people. For instance, we have a regular classic deluxe cheeseburger here, and then we have kind of a new age cheeseburger with kind of a special sauce on here, and then we have a vegetarian burger over here. So this touches on 3 whole different genres of cheeseburger lovers, and this touches on all of these other different ways, and then it also goes into that diversity level where you're connecting with different audiences. The rule of 3. Do things in 3, repeat it 3 times, demonstrate it 3 times, hit it from 3 different angles. Do it 3 times. The rule of 3, stick to it. A very, very good tip. Now, let's just touch on message maps really quick next here. Message maps are a really great thing for just finding a core idea and then having some supporting points for this core idea, and then you have the evidence branching off of the supporting points. Now, of course, here the core message represented by the blue circle, and then our outer 4 circles. Try to stick to 3 or 4, no more than 4. 3 is best. And then you have your supporting points for this core message, and then, of course, you have your evidence for those supporting points. Now, this message maps, this reminds me of a story when I was younger. I had a friend who wanted to insist to me that jellyfish had the largest brains of all aquatic creatures. Now, I doubted it at first because I'd seen a jellyfish and I really didn't see any brain in there. So I asked him for some supporting points. He couldn't provide me with any supporting points, and of course that lack of supporting points also lacked any evidence whatsoever. Well, the next day I went back to him and I found a core message of jellyfish do not have brains, and I had the Googled sites and the biology sites that said this, and I had my supporting points and I had my evidence backing it all up. Thus, I proved that jellyfish indeed do not have brains whatsoever. And that's so super crucial. Have a clear message maps here. It's so super crucial. Have a clear message, have some clear supporting points, and then have evidence. Cite those sources, back it up. Don't just say Ford's the best, Chevy's the best, this knife is the sharpest, this laptop's the best, this tablet's the best. Well, why is it? You'd better don't get caught without the proof. You will look bad and your reputation will be severely damaged. Message map. Follow the message map ideas. Now, quickly, let's go on to our next section here, multimedia. Now, multimedia, it covers so much these days, and multimedia has been around forever. Multimedia basically involves combinations of media. Now, our first category here is, of course, captions, comics, memes, etc., things like that, things that involve words or dialogue with a picture. You know, you have an idea in a picture represented with a visual, and then you have a word emphasizing it. This is a real common form of multimedia that's existed even back to the founding of our country. People would hand out pamphlets portraying politicians doing things with a little blurb above it. This form of multimedia is so huge. It can be about people, it can be about things, it can be about places, it can be about events. It just needs to be words in a picture and words. Now, let's go on to our next section quickly here. Videos, music, games, interactive things. Now, these are our most popularized multimedia things these days. And quite honestly, with the internet, there's limitless resources for your presentations. Use videos, use music, use games in every place that you can. These are quite possibly the most entertaining forms of multimedia, and yes, indeed, perhaps the most effective. So, just to demonstrate the effectiveness of this genre of multimedia, I want to go on to a small video and see how well it portrays my idea here. So, Tyler's hamburger was good, but how good was it? Well, let's see if this multimedia can effectively convey the message of just how good Tyler's burger was. Alright, well, I feel that the message was fairly clear that the burger was so good. Now see just how effective. I didn't have to do anything. I didn't have to say much. I might have been setting you up with some pictures of burgers earlier, but let me tell you what, that piece of multimedia really conveyed that message well. So let's move quickly on to our next section here, charts and diagrams. Now, charts and diagrams are a real great thing where you can simplify the complex with a good visual representation. And it gives you easy comparisons of what's more, what's less, what's better, what's this, what's that. It gives you a clear message, and it gives you that visual engagement, that eyeball apple where you just want to you want to grab that with your eye. That's telling you a lot of good information, and it's giving you ideas, and you're thinking about it, and it's like your comparisons are going, the mental stew is boiling with charts and diagrams. Don't forget to use charts and diagrams in your presentations. Such a super great resource to go to. Now, let's just try to wrap things up here quickly with 3 tips for your presentations for you to keep in mind here. These are all really simple here. First of all, always entertain. Always entertain your customer, your viewer, your stakeholder. Do not bore them. Your message won't stick if you're boring. You have to entertain. When you're presenting, you do have to entertain. It's your job then. Now, number 2, always use visual media. Don't just engage their ears, their audio cortex. Engage their visual cortex, the multi-sensory, the multi-angular trajectory of information reception. That's going to really be clutch, super key with any presentation. And then now, last one. This one's kind of obvious, but sometimes forgotten. Always stay in your lane. Now, this is a quote from the Talk Like TED book about the speakers of the TEDx conferences. Now, this basically means be genuine, be sincere, be respectable. Your reputation is key to your credibility and your logic. And if you don't have that respectable persona, people will just toss your whole message out. And this actually reminds me of a story I'm going to go through real quick here for you. Of when I was working at a place when I was much younger, a man came in, so a solicitor came in selling some cleaning product. Now, me and my boss, we weren't convinced in the cleaning product's effectiveness, and the guy wasn't a great person at selling either. He didn't have a lot of presentation skills. But what he did tell us is that if we bought some of his cleaner today, he would eat some of it. And let me tell you what, that guy swerved out of his lane, his respectable lane, so far right then and there. We basically told him to get out, and that if you're going to eat this cleaner, we're not going to buy it, and you're wasting our time, and this is almost disrespectful. So, I mean, that's kind of a weird story, and it's kind of an extreme story. But just make sure that you don't do anything drastic. Stay in your lane, stay who you are, be yourself, be genuine, be sincere, be honest. Stay in your lane. All right. So, with those in mind, let's just review what we all went over here today. So, first of all, we discussed the rule of 3, a very important rule to stick to. Then we went over message maps, and then we went over multimedia, and then those 3 easy stick-to pointers for your presentations. So now I want to wrap things up quickly here with a question that I want you all to consider and to pose to yourself. This question will help you to get your message across and will help you to create lasting memories. So when putting together your presentation, it's very simple. Ask yourself, did I entertain? Because if you did not entertain, the likelihood of your message and your core message sticking with your audience and sticking in their mind, it's drastically reduced. Make sure that you entertain. Make sure that you keep it circulating. Make sure that you make them want to hear it. So let me just finish up right now with a quote from a very important entertainer, a person in the entertainment industry, and that's a quote from Walt Disney. And he says, "I would rather entertain people and hope that they learned something, rather than educate people and hope that they were entertained." Now, just think about that quote and what that quote means in combination with what you learned here today. Next time you have a message you really want to stick in people's minds. All right? Thank you, everyone. Thanks for sticking with me here through this presentation. I appreciate it. Have a wonderful evening or day, and yes, feel free to go and grab a delicious cheeseburger. Thanks, everybody. Take care.